Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of The Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Casting Angles with Mac Brown. How are you, Mac?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Marvin?
As always, trying to stay out of trouble. It's interesting. You had a great weekend. Your oldest son graduated from high school this past weekend.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I think that's the first time probably since Jennifer and I have been married where all the family on her side and my side was all up here in the great town of Bryson City. And we had a big cookout on the deck and celebrating that. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting, so that's a, transition to summer. I know you were telling me Duncan is working on Deep Creek with the tubers and Connor's down in Alabama at a camp. But, the other thing that's happened is, kind of that traditional kind of fall, winter, spring delayed harvest is over in North Carolina. And so it's maybe a time to think about maybe some other options.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of other good options. This time of year, I like going like the Little Tennessee or the Pigeon. There's a lot of other great places with like bream and smallmouth and farm ponds. We don't have that many ponds here, but like where I grew up in East Tennessee, there was literally probably 100 in Greene County. I mean, great farm ponds, some of them 2 and 3 acres big. And of course, that was a big part of fly fishing growing up. And we'd get into summer, we'd be going to the farm ponds a lot and chasing bass and bream and catfish and all kinds of stuff on the farm ponds. And catfish are a lot of fun this time of year, too, because a lot of people think catfish, throwing bait and fishing down deep. But catfish, until they're about 17, 18 inches, are insectivores, just like a trout. So they're beautiful, smooth, same size as a trout. And they eat, you can go down to Little Tennessee and throw a single dry fly and catch all kind of catfish that come up and eat it just like a trout. So there's a lot of other things to go after for sure now that the DH is kind of opened up. And then, of course, we still got a lot of high elevation streams if they want to chase blue line and do trout. But I don't know. It's a lot of fun still. The water temp's still in great condition here. But I've been on Deep Creek a lot this last week, and we're over at Nolan Creek, and those creeks are still plenty cold.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess I would say, if you were kind of trying to figure it out, I would say try to, fish up on the blue lines until maybe there's a water problem later in the summer. And then the great thing about fishing farm ponds and lakes for bass and brim and catfish is you can kind of beat the heat because you either get up really early in the morning and you're done about 11 o'clock, or you go fish that last like hour and a half, 2 hours of sunlight at the day. And, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of fit in with all the other stuff we do in the summertime.
That's right. Now, I'm hoping I've been crossing my fingers, we're going to get these epic cicada hatches that they're having all over the country, but we still have yet to see a one like on where I live in the valley at Deep Creek. I haven't heard one or seen a shuck or anything, but they're definitely happening in a lot of places. And my aunt sent a photo from where I grew up in the Ozarks, and they're literally, the husk are like hundreds of thousands sitting around the bases of trees. So, I mean, certain places are getting them. And if you happen to have that, if you're having a big cicada activity, there's some really good stuff you can do with that. I mean, we're just not getting it here. But throwing cicada patterns on those same warm water, cold water rivers, whatever you got, whatever kind of water you got, that's going to be definitely preyed upon from a lot of different species.
Yeah, it's interesting because, down here, the periodics have pretty much run their course, and we're probably, I would guess, about a month away probably from getting our, normal annuals, which is, kind of what will be the game, kind of where I grew up in Central Virginia too. But yeah, it's interesting to see fish move to crush those cicadas if they have a chance.
Oh, yeah. I keep thinking maybe we're going to get them. I keep waiting at night. We sit on the patio every night on the back deck and sit around the caveman television with a big bonfire pit. And I mean, if they're here, you'd hear them, and we're just not hearing them. So I don't think we have them here where I live, but maybe they're where some of the listeners live, That'd be a fun thing to have. I've got boxes and boxes of cicadas just staying here. I'm going to have to go somewhere where they're happening because I don't think they're going to happen here. I might go up to, I think they're probably happening up there in Southern Virginia. I heard reports of some friends up there that talked about having some pretty good cicada activity. And I know up by Lake, up by Hickory, what's the lake, the what's the name of the lake that's on 40 as you're driving to Hickory? Is that Lake James? Up there they're having them.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I'd have to think about that because it's not far enough east to be in the PD River chain. But yeah, I mean, they pretty much run their course here and around Greensboro and kind of up into Southwest Virginia because they've been out for, 4 to 6 weeks. And I think they only live about a month. So, if you figure they come out kind of over 2 weeks, they're pretty much kind of run their course. But, one thing I thought might be helpful, on the warm water front for folks, a lot of those bugs are pretty, wind resistant poppers. Maybe talk to people a little bit about, terminal tackle and technique. I mean, because I know one thing I do when I'm fishing poppers is I generally fish a pretty short leader because it doesn't matter and it helps those big bugs turn over a whole lot better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the small poppers, too. Like, you don't have to go to these massive, big poppers. Like on the Little Tennessee, we throw poppers a lot of the time that are half the length of your thumb, just little small poppers with some rubber, like Matamex rubber on the sides, make an X pattern and then have a little bit of marabou on the tail. And those are quick to tie and they're real durable. We throw a lot of those for red-eye bass, and there's a lot of bream, and there's a lot of catfish and smallmouth that'll eat those small poppers. And that's really the better pattern size to throw as far as to see a lot of variety and different numbers of what's in there. And when you start going to the really big stuff in hopes of, kind of like a lot of the big flies in the streamer game, then you're going to be a little more lonely, throwing a lot more cast. And if you catch one, yeah, it'd probably be a good fish. But as far as on trips and things, if you're taking people down, we try to stay on the smaller size stuff because they can see a lot more numbers of a wider variety of fish, carp included, like grass carp. And of course, those are a lot of fun on a popper.
Yeah. And I would say on the streamer front, I would keep it simple, folks. I would say woolly boogers. I would say small finesse changers. I'm a big fan of fish and CK bait fish. I think they're easy to tie and they're absolutely killer.
Yeah, that'd be a good choice up here. That'd be a good choice all over. And no, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's just kind of a different season, a different time to chase different. I remember one of the trips, Marvin, since we're talking about going after different, seasonal time change. I remember several years ago, it's probably 5 or 6 years ago, the kids, we went out and did 2.5 weeks on the Buffalo River in Arkansas. And it's like a national wild scenic river. And it was amazing. I mean, we had the kids and the cousins there from Colorado, and it was just so much diversity. I mean, Whitlock, when he lived out there in Mountain Home, that was where he'd go the most to try a lot of his different patterns and things. But it's an amazing fishery on the Buffalo. I'd like to go back out and do that. I'd do that again in a second if I had the time to do it right now.
Yeah, it's definitely your busy time of year. And I know, that you're guiding, and although there's a little bit of a transition there, but you also have the schools. You want to let folks know about kind of the upcoming schools and kind of how to get on your guide calendar?
Yeah, the best place probably on the URL at macbrownflyfish.com. And the next big thing probably is September as far as the casting school. There's a couple of spots left open for that, and then it'll be full, and we'll cap it off. And there's a couple of specialized things still going on right now with different specialized type schools of, dry fly, wet fly type schools that are weekend courses. And those have been a lot of fun. It's kind of fun to have, 8-10 people a weekend to teach that too, instead of just like one person at a time. It's just a little bit easier efficiency use of time, because you're going to cover all the same thing, whether it's 1 or 10, so you might as well be 10.
Yeah, and so just to help folks, if they want to do one of those, have you had your wet fly one yet? I know that was one that we've been talking about the last couple times we've been together.
Yeah, we did that, and that went over real good, and it was a good time of the year, still really cold water. And I have to look, actually. I've been so busy with like casting clinics and trips this last week before the graduation that it's bad when you have to look at your calendar yourself to find out when stuff is. But that's kind of where I'm at right now, Marvin. I'm a little bit, just from the last week of all the festivities, I'm a little bit behind.
Yeah, it's all good. You either need to hire somebody to keep you straight or maybe just have a monkey paw and get reset.
Yeah. That'd probably be a good thing.
Well, listen, folks, we have lots of opportunities kind of in the the southeast mid-Atlantic, still time to chase trout, lots of cool warm water stuff. Smallmouth bites just going to keep getting better, particularly if you like fishing topwater. So as I always say, you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Mac.
Tight lines, Marvin.